Hi, I'm AJ.
My name is Ayana, and this is our self-converted school bus, Sweet Bee the Treehouse.
We've been together a little over 4 years, and we've owned the bus for just under 4 years. So it actually came up on our first date. We'd had a few drinks and we were chatting, and Ayana asked me if I wanted to live in a van with her. I wasn't sure if she was asking necessarily that I wanted to live with her, so instead of answering her, I just kissed her. But about 3 months later, we bought the bus together. We went in pretty recklessly fast there.
I'm a bit all over the place. I like a little bit of everything. And the same with Andy, I think. A little bit of dilettantes. We like to consider ourselves. But I started silversmithing about a year ago now, so making fine silver and turquoise rings and pendants. I love jewelry, and so along the way I was collecting different plants and things that I thought were beautiful, and I started pressing them and then figured out how to put them into resin, both like necklaces and earrings and things like that. And then I do natural dream work with folks, so I think there's something so magical and mystical about our dreams.
I left my career in wildland fire at the age of 29. My body just couldn't keep up with that anymore. And I've always wanted to write. I've always loved cooking, and it just seemed like a natural thing to do. You know, I initially started writing about teaching myself to hunt, fish, and forage, and cook those wild foods. But as we moved into the bus, it became clear that it was going to be a little bit too expensive to try and hunt and fish in different places all the time. So it transitioned sort of naturally to cooking for the nomad community, for van lifers, bus lifers, RVs. Our bus is a 2001 Chevy Express van front mid-bus. We've owned the bus for 4 years, been living in it for about 2 now.
So the two of us live in there in the luxurious 90 square feet that she is, with our small dog, Tori. She's half pug, half beagle, an old, sweet girl. And typically we spend our times on public land, so lots of BLM, national forest, occasionally friends' driveways and houses. Grab a quick shower, but for the most part you'll find us in the forest. So our exterior paint is a Sherwin-Williams direct-to-metal paint. It's called Artichoke, if you like our particular shade.
Up on top of the roof, we have 300 watts of solar panels, and then you can see that we put on a very large roof deck. The roof deck was a non-negotiable for Ayana in the design process, and you know, I really wanted to nix it because of how big of a project it is, but we're really happy that we have it. Yeah. It's a lot of fun for sunsets, happy hours, and it's a nice place to hang out.
So let's take a walk around the bus and we will show you kind of some of the mechanical little bits and bobs that we have on the outside. Cool.
So right here you can see we have one of the two weatherized external plugs. This one leads to a trickle charger that's attached to our batteries up top. So when we're parked at somebody's house or at a campground, we can plug her in and charge the batteries. Down here we have another one. This one connects just to a 12,000 BTU heater/AC unit that sits under our bed. We can't run it off our solar because it pulls way too much, but when we have shore power, we can run it. And this is a vent for that. One important feature up top here is we have our chimney sticking out for our wood stove. This was the first hole that we cut in the bus, I think, which was a terrifying process, of course, as with all of these holes, but you get used to it pretty quickly.
You can see the ladder for our rooftop deck here. This happened on like a screw it day of the build, I would say, quite literally and figuratively. We had kind of puzzled about how to do a ladder, and then all of a sudden we were like, let's screw it into the side of the bus. Let's just go for it. And it has held up really well. and I think gives it the nice treehouse feel that she deserves as well. On this side, we have a couple of ports. So this is the mushroom vent that heads into our Nature's Head composting toilet that's inside. And then this is our freshwater fill that heads in under the bed to a 17-gallon freshwater tank.
The door on our bus is definitely one of the most unique characteristics and one of the things that people notice first. So you can see that where the original bus glass doors were, we covered over that and put in a window. And then this was a handicap bus, so we had this really wide handicap door with a lift inside. And we had a welder friend cut it down to a typical door width, I think it's 30 inches, making us, you know, this nice little standard door, and then it made room for us to put in a passenger seat up front.
Then all we really had to add was this little step, which just flips up for when we're traveling. So come on inside with us and check out the build.
Hi, welcome to our home, our 90 square foot home. So this is our passenger seat. It was a lot of work to put this in. We had to close off the original bus doors and move our walkway over here, and then, you know, bolt this through the floor. But it was really important to us to have a second comfortable seat to ride in, and also to have a second seat belt so that we could drive safely.
And it kind of adds to like the general open feel that we have in here. We love having people over, and so when you're hanging out, a lot of times it can get like very galley feeling in these rigs, and so adding this seat that swivels around really gives us kind of like a little bit more hosting space and kind of like a comfier feel, I think.
And it's a super comfortable chair.
It's really comfy. Craigslist is the best.
All right, so in this corner of the bus, we have obviously Tori's bed area, and importantly, our travel Shotsky. Never go anywhere without one. Up top here, we have our fuse box attached to where the original bus fuse box was. So that's the heart of our electrical system right there. And then up in this cabinet, we have our batteries, our inverter, our charge controller. We have 300 amp hours of lithium batteries in there, 1200 watt inverter. That's about it for our electrical system.
So coming over here, we have our wood burning stove. This is our primary heat source in the bus for those colder evenings. It's a cubic mini wood stove, chimney out the top, and copper-coated aluminum for safe and effective heat shielding on the sides, stone underneath it. Under here is sort of our main pantry area, at least the pantry that doesn't get put behind the wood stove. So, ramen for when I'm cooking. Everything else from when Andy's cooking. We've got plenty of cooking gadgets in the bus, as you might expect, with the chef living here. All the pots and pans, plenty of cast iron to go around in this bottom drawer. So while we're moving around, obviously things shift and change. So we put these latches on all of our drawers and cabinets and things. Here's our trash and recycling. Any cleaning products that we might use are right in there.
We finished our build at a really unfortunate time. We were supposed to hit the road on April 1st, 2020. And so our first 6 months in the bus were spent in a driveway, waiting for the go-ahead to get on the road. And then we had our big breakdown that following summer. Spent a whole bunch of money getting her repaired, which led to running away with the Circus.
Yeah, so it was like before we even had the bus back from the mechanics, and I got the job offer to be a nanny with the traveling circus. And we followed the Venardo Circus around the country for a year. which was really different bus life than I think we ever anticipated on living. Lots of being in cities, lots of, mall parking lots and circus folk, which was really cool. And then after a year with them, we said see you soon and hopped off in Tacoma, Washington, and have now been sort of living the bus life that we always anticipated we would live. So lots of meeting fellow nomads on the road, going to meetups. Andy's selling the cookbook now and doing lots of promotion of that. I'm getting going with the jewelry and the dream work. So yeah, it's almost like it's taken us 2 years of living on the road to like really finally get to where we thought we would be initially. But it's made it feel even sweeter, I think. And over here is our couch area. It's about 5 feet long. These were just patio furniture cushions that we found on Wayfair, something like that. Pretty nice though. Underneath we have additional storage. This is a lot of hobby stuff, the jewelry making, all the food photography things are under there. And then our 110 outlets are right here. So any computers or larger electronics get charged through that. So this is our lagoon mount for the table, which we'll get out in a little bit. There are 2 arms that kind of attach here, and then we put our walnut table on top, and it gives us a really nice workspace in here and some additional countertop as well.
So this is our bedroom. We have a queen-size mattress back here, which fits with a little bit of extra room actually because of how wide the bus is. We can have a standard mattress, and there's still about 8 inches at the end for a trunk for some clothing storage. Up top, we have this bookshelf that we get a lot of compliments on. I'm an avid reader, so it's really important to me in this build to have the ability to bring a lot of books along. Up here, we have mostly clothing storage at the foot of the bed. This is where all my clothes go. A couple of big cabinets for that. And then we have 2 different systems for watching TV in bed. The first of which we probably use more often, are these little, we call them the program sticks. Just a little shelf that we can set a laptop on. That's the simple one. And then the more complicated system is a projector that it's just 3 steps harder, so we don't use it as often. But we put in some metal strips up top so that we could hang a sheet or screen pretty easily. And we have a big screen TV in our bed. As far as the projector goes, so there's an arm at the head of the bed that extends out, and we can attach the projector to that. And then when we don't need it, we can just take it down and put it all away. All right, so down here underneath the bed, we have all of Ayana's clothes storage are in these drawers. You can tell that she has quite a lot of clothing. And then we have our office drawer down at the bottom. And then this drawer here is where we keep our table. Nice big walnut table slides in there. And importantly, this is how we go to the bathroom. We've got our Nature's Head composting toilet, which lives underneath the bed on this nice slide. We like it all right. We've had some problems with our composting toilet. We've had gnats, which is a problem that people don't talk about a lot with composting toilets, but we've had them several times, and they can be a real pain to get rid of. We shower mostly at Planet Fitness. We have a little rechargeable USB shower head that we can, heat up a pot of water and take a shower outside. We've had a few different solar shower options in the past, but mostly we rely on the gym. certainly not the easiest environment to cook in, as I'm sure everybody would imagine. We have in there just a 3-burner propane cooktop and, you know, a little bit of counter space, a tiny, tiny sink. So there is a lot of adversity to overcome in cooking really well. But it's been a really fun challenge to learn how to cook really nice meals in a small space with a simple setup. In July, I published my first cookbook, The Bus Life Kitchen, which features 107 recipes from 15 different cuisines, all of which are developed in our kitchen. So they're perfect for cooking in a tiny kitchen, all developed for the stovetop. There's a whole section about baking on the stovetop, which is really handy if you live in a little space like ours where you can't afford an oven.
Andy has always been really good at bringing people together with his food. And so having our first Thanksgiving on the road be like in Joshua Tree with a few other nomads that we had met, and Andy's like roasting a turkey and baking a pumpkin pie and like all of this on our tiny stove in our tiny kitchen. It's a cool way to share your gifts and also bring people together.
So this massive kitchen right here is where the Bus Life Kitchen was developed, written, photographed, all of it. You can see we have just this much counter space, tiny little space, 3-burner propane stove, and this little teeny sink with no hot water. As far as things that we would do differently in a second build, we would definitely not put a little RV sink in. That was a big mistake. With all the cooking we do, having a spice rack available with a handful of the spices that we carry, you know, this is maybe a quarter of the spices that we have, but having some available at all times was really important. Up top, we've got toiletries in this cabinet, and then this one over here has just an array of sauces, and there's actually 6 types of vinegar in there right now, which is a little bit extreme, but you know, when you're cooking in all these different cuisines, it's important to have those things available. Under the sink, we have our gray water tank, which has an 11-gallon capacity, so we have to empty that fairly regularly. The heart and soul of every house, the junk drawer, is right here, which is always a complete disaster. This drawer is full of mixing bowls and Tupperware, that sort of thing. And then down here we have our fridge. It's a 70-liter Nomadic trucking fridge. So it's you know, about the size of a college mini fridge, but it has enough storage for us. We only have to buy food about every 10 days or so. We have had a few issues with this fridge over time. Our first unit, the person who did our cabinetry for us didn't put in any venting, so we burned out that compressor in a couple of months. And then we burned out a second one through my error of not turning it off when we left the bus. And we expected moderate weather. We were gone for 2 weeks. When we came back, it was over 100 degrees, and we'd burned out another compressor. So we're on our 3rd iteration of this fridge, but we built the cabinet for this unit, so we feel kind of stuck there. And another design flaw of ours is that we put our stove directly on top of our fridge, which exacerbates our venting problem, in that whenever we run the stove, it heats up that cabinet a lot right on top of the fridge. More strain on the fridge, more strain on our batteries. Just definitely wouldn't do that again.
One other thing we can show you guys is our jacket and shoe storage. So this was actually the last thing we added to the build right before we hit the road. We had so many jackets, no place to put them. So we added these cute little animal hooks up at the top. One really important feature for the bus, and a little bit of a puzzle to figure out, is actually how to lock the bus, especially since we were using the handicap door as our main door. So we added this little deadbolt here, and there's a little metal piece on the inside of the lever. that you can actually deadbolt it closed. And you can do that with a key from the outside as well. One of the things that drew us to bus life was the relatively low cost of entry. You can find buses pretty cheap, and we got the bus for $4,500 initially. Our build itself, I think, was right around, like, what, 20 grand, do you think?
Yeah, something like that. And some of that was labor.
And now, you know, with the mechanical issues and all of that, we've probably put close to another
15
or 20
Yeah.
into just the engine.
So we're at 40 or so on the whole. But, you know, we've been living in here for 2 years. So it's,
Yeah,
you have to expect some maintenance in that time.
for sure.
Maybe not $15,000 worth.
No. I think the most fulfilling part, at least right now for me, is that this lifestyle has really allowed both of us to pursue passion and what we're passionate about in a much more serious way than I think we ever could have if we were living a more traditional lifestyle. We have so few bills, you know, we don't need to move very far if we don't want to. Our time is our own, which I think is just like the biggest gift in the world.
The simplicity of the lifestyle really brings all of those things into focus, I think. You know, I wanted to write my entire life, and I didn't really do it until I was in the bus, because you have fewer distractions, you have more time. It all seems really difficult before you get started, but every step of the way, you'll figure it out. You know, it's hard to imagine that you're going to build this whole thing, and then one day it's done. It's hard to imagine you're going to make a living on the road, and then, you know, you figure it out, and it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And the other thing I think I would say is just like ask for help. Like, this community is such a deep well of resource, and we've benefited so much from it, and everyone's ready to pay it forward all the time. So whatever you need, reach out, send the DMs, you know, whatever you need to do, but know that there's a really big community here to support you and help you along the way.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.